From the time she was old enough to understand what love was, she realized that the way she looked at girls was not the way society expected her to. Growing up in a conservative town where traditions were deeply rooted, she learned early on that anything outside the norm was considered unacceptable. Her mother, a devout woman, often spoke about the importance of family, marriage, and finding a good husband. "One day, you'll meet a nice boy, Maya," she would say, ruffling her daughter's curly hair. "And you'll fall in love just like your father and I did." But Maya didn't dream of boys. When her friends giggled about their crushes, blushing as they whispered about the boys in their class, she remained silent. Her heart raced for the girls instead, the ones with bright smiles and gentle hands. For years, she tried to fight it. She dated a boy in high school, forcing herself to believe that if she tried hard enough, she could change. But every kiss felt empty, every moment spent with him felt like a performance. She knew she was lying, to him, to her family, and most painfully, to herself. It wasn't until she met Leila that everything came crashing down. Leila was confident, fearless, and unapologetically herself. She transferred to Maya's school during their senior year, and from the moment their eyes met, Maya felt something she had never felt before, a connection so intense it made her dizzy. They became friends quickly, bonding over their love for poetry and late-night conversations under the stars. But for Maya, it was more than friendship. She was falling in love. One evening, as they sat on the rooftop of Leila's house, sharing stories and laughter, Leila turned to Maya with a serious look. "Can I tell you something?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya nodded. "I like girls," Leila confessed, looking away as if bracing for rejection. Maya's heart pounded. It was the first time she had ever heard someone say those words out loud. "Me too," she whispered back. Leila's eyes widened in surprise before a slow, knowing smile spread across her face. "I thought so," she said softly. "I see the way you look at me." Maya felt exposed, vulnerable, but also relieved. For the first time, she wasn't alone in her feelings. That night, they shared their first kiss, and everything made sense. There was no confusion, no doubt, just love, pure and undeniable. But love wasn't simple in their world. Maya's mother found out. She read Maya's messages, saw the hidden notes, and confronted her in anger and tears. "This is not who you are. This is wrong, Maya," she cried, gripping her daughter's hands as if she could pull the truth out of her. Maya begged her to understand, but her mother refused. "You can change. You will change," she insisted, calling upon every religious figure she knew to pray for her daughter. The weight of their judgment crushed Maya, making her question everything she had finally begun to accept about herself. She tried, for her mother's sake. She stopped talking to Leila, stopped reading poetry about love, tried to erase the feelings inside her. But the ache in her heart only grew stronger. One night, Leila showed up at her window. "You can't live your life for them, Maya. You deserve to be happy. Maya wanted to believe her. She wanted to choose love over fear. But love came with consequences. The rumors spread in their town, whispers turned into accusations, and Maya became the subject of judgment. People avoided her, called her names, treated her like a disease. Through it all, Leila stood by her. "You are not wrong for loving me," she said, holding Maya's trembling hands. "The world is wrong for making us feel like we are." It took time, pain, and distance, but Maya eventually found her strength. She left her town, moved to a city where love wasn't limited by gender, and finally allowed herself to be free. Years later, standing in a room full of people who accepted her for who she was, she realized something important: she had never been broken. The world had tried to break her, but love had built her back up. And no matter how hard she tried, she could never stop being who she was. Because love, real love, was never something to be stopped. Maya had left her small town behind, but the echoes of its expectations still followed her. The whispers of family members, the judging stares of neighbors, and the prayers her mother recited in the hopes of fixing her still rang in her mind. But in the city, among the towering buildings and endless streets, she was free to be who she was without apology. At first, freedom was overwhelming. There were no more hushed conversations or cautious glances over her shoulder. Here, love wasn't whispered in the shadows, it was loud, proud, and alive. She met women who lived their truth unapologetically. Women who held hands in the streets, kissed in cafes, and laughed without restraint. For the first time, Maya didn't feel like a stranger in her own body. Then she met Zara. Zara was nothing like Leila. Where Leila was gentle and patient, Zara was wild and untamed. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made it her own. Her locks cascaded down her back, dyed a deep shade of red at the tips, and her smile was the kind that made you forget every worry you had. They met at an art gallery, where Maya had wandered in, drawn by a painting of two women embracing under a golden sky. She hadn't noticed Zara watching her until she heard a soft chuckle beside her. "You look like you're seeing yourself in that painting," Zara said, tilting her head with a teasing smirk. Maya hesitated before responding. "Maybe I am." That was the beginning. Zara introduced Maya to a world she had only dreamed of. They went to underground poetry nights where black queer women stood on stage and spilled their souls in ways that made Maya shiver. They danced at LGBTQ+ clubs where bodies moved without shame, where love was celebrated without hesitation. For the first time, Maya didn't just exist, she lived. She stopped hiding. She stopped thinking of her desires as something she needed to correct. She stopped feeling guilty for the way her body ached when Zara kissed her, for the way her hands lingered on soft skin, tracing the curves she had once feared to touch. One night, after a long evening at Zara's apartment, Maya lay in bed, tangled in warm sheets, listening to the soft rhythm of Zara's breathing. "Do you ever think about your old life?" Zara asked, her fingers tracing lazy circles on Maya's arm. Maya sighed. "Sometimes. I think about my mother. How she'd react if she saw me now." Zara propped herself up on one elbow. "And how does that make you feel?" Maya thought about it. Months ago, the thought of disappointing her family had crushed her. The fear of rejection had nearly swallowed her whole. Now, she felt light. I feel free. Zora smiled and leaned in, kissing her forehead. Good. You deserve to be. Maya realized then that her love was not something to be corrected. It was not something to be hidden or whispered about in the dark. Her love was beautiful. Her love was hers. And she would never let anyone take that away from her again.